HR leaders know hiring is getting harder. A new survey from Robert Half reveals companies are hiring for critical roles, making competition for top talent fiercer than ever. So, how do you stay ahead? With insights that matter. The Demand for Skilled Talent report from Robert Half dives deep into hiring trends and the impact of AI on critical skills and staffing needs. Get the data that drives smarter hiring. Head to roberthalf.com/demand for skilled talent.
Welcome to the AI HI Project. I'm Alex Alonso, SHRM's Chief Data and Analytics Officer. Thanks for joining us. This week, we'll be exploring the transformative role of AI in workforce development and employee training. Today, our focus is on how innovation and innovative technologies like AI-powered microlearning can reshape the way organizations engage, upskill, and empower their workforces. Our guest this week is Hagai Horovitz, co-founder and chief innovation officer of Bytes, one of the startup organizations in SHRM's Workplace Tech Accelerator 2025 cohort. Welcome to the AI HI Project, Hagai.
Hi, Alex. Happy to be here.
Thanks for being with us. To start us off, I'd love to hear a little bit about your story, what got you into tech, what got you into innovation, and then tell us a little bit about the story behind Bytes. And I'm somebody, I've met you before. I met you when you were part of the Workplace Tech Accelerator kickoff orientation here in Alexandria, Virginia. I got to meet you with Johnny C. Taylor Jr., SHRM CEO. And I loved the story, the way you compared Bytes to the TikTok of employee development. And I'd love to hear that story.
Okay, let me see where I can start. So I would say that, we started from a relatively different place than most startup began. We did not come from the tech world. We were doing something else. I do have my education in technology, but I was enjoying 15 years of actually teaching. I taught GMAT and SAT prep courses for 15 years. It was amazing. I think it's an amazing experience to actually, get the benefit of making people understand things and actually, apply them for their own good. And now I'm very well connected with many doctors in the hospitals because I help them get there in a way. So that's another benefit. But as part of that, we were always trying to, to incorporate new technologies and find, the best things that can assist us in simplifying things and in making things more effective. And to be honest, most of the time I was pretty frustrated with the existing technology as it was not advancing in the same pace and the same speed like things were advancing outside of the learning and training world. I mean, it was while outside on your day-to-day, we're consuming content in YouTube Shorts, in Instagram, and then in TikTok. You came to your school or to your workplace and you were supposed to learn and train and consume information with the presentations, with the reading documents and manuals. And this was just the beginning, and it felt inappropriate. And if I jump to today, most people also already lost the capability to consume written content. So we understood that something had to change. We dropped me and Tal, my co-founder, we dropped our day jobs teaching, and we went out to build Bytes. We started with the education world. It was a bit too early for them as they are not the perfect early adopters. We'll get back to them at one point. And then we did a slight shift. We moved on to businesses, mostly focused on frontline employees, which are many times they are of younger generations. They were actually very thirsty for that.
So walk me through this a little bit, because I've always been amazed at how you highlight the power of Bytes as a kind of a TikTok of employee learning, right? And to me, that speaks to algorithm, but that also speaks to the value of a personalized learning journey, right? I mean, sadly, I waste way too much time on TikTok learning about all sorts of things and, swiping up and learning as much as I can, right? I guess I'd love to hear specifically what it is that Bytes does. And then at the same time, tell us how you're leveraging AI to kind of create those personalized learning paths.
Okay. That's a very good question. First of all, I shouldn't apologize for spending time on TikTok. Everybody does that. That's a reality today. So it's relevant and it's true for all of us. I think like I'll give you an example. Short videos and contents existed way before TikTok and way before Instagram. They were never that addicting. People did not spend that much time actually swiping on and on and on and watching 20 seconds and 15 seconds videos. I mean, if you remember, there was this platform that was called Vine. They had these videos. It did not last. It never got to be that addictive as TikTok. So what's the big difference? And the big difference is exactly that. It's personalization. I mean, I'm gonna start from a certain video, and you're gonna start from the same video, and we're gonna be swiping up. We're not gonna see the next videos next. I mean, you're gonna see the videos that you're most likely to actually want to watch. I'm gonna see the videos that are most likely, want to watch. It's not necessarily gonna be the same. And since we kind of became spoiled, if we're not getting something that's super interesting for us, we're not going to spend any time on that. And when people come to learn professional content and do that in their workplace, it's the same. That's the habit. So, if we start with the same initial intro, onboarding, basic skills video, we're not necessarily going to need or going to want to watch the next one just the same. So when you're able to actually personalize and understand the needs of your employees and what is right for them to go through and get next, then you're getting higher engagement. Getting higher engagement, you have employees more connected to your business. You have employees leaving the company less, so you improve your employee retention. And it's a complete cycle. I mean, you don't have to rehire more employees, costs you less. You have people staying for longer times. They become more qualified. They become more productive. And this is the cycle. And we're actually doing exactly that with Bytes. I mean, we have like the basic core and contents and knowledge that everyone meets in the beginning. But after that, they see a feed, which is very similar to the ones you see on social media. On the feed, you would see recommendation based on both the business interest of what is right and what they want you to learn next, and also based on what's interesting for you. So you are more likely to actually open and go through and move on to the next stage. We're doing that by analyzing all the information that we can gather, of course, legally, which means that we know and we actually gather just like, social media algorithm. We gather how much time you spend on videos, whether you were trying to skip parts of that. Did you watch a video more than once? We are also gathering information from the questions that you ask. We have an AI tool which allows you to ask questions and get direct answers. We're also gathering information from there. This information is applied for what would be interesting for you to watch next. It's also applied for the business, for the managers to understand whether there are, any knowledge gaps that they want to complete and use our platform to build stuff around that. And this way is how we leverage AI and mostly personalization of content for everyone.
I'm always intrigued by the way that the data is used to kind of determine what is the next natural learning point, or what is the preference that someone might have, right? That personalization engine. I'd love to hear a little bit about, even just in general kind of terms, what it is that the AI is doing, what that algorithm is actually picking up on in those data points, right? What is it that you're seeing that is really meaningful in making that personalization come to life?
So I can't really tell you all the secrets, but
Sure, of course.
I can tell you a few things. We know to take a video and actually analyze, the major drop-offs where people are dropping the video and stopping, not watching that anymore. We can analyze where, people are skipping more or less. We can analyze whether it was paused. We analyzed, again, like I mentioned, whether it was watched more than once. And this is information that we collect. And then we combine that with other information that we have. Like I mentioned, like the questions you ask, like, in general contents that were assigned to you, even if you were assigned a set of, I don't know, 10 content units, it would make a huge difference in the order where you would watch them. I mean, there's a good chance that if I'm going to force you to watch the second content, which probably is less interesting for you just now, or delay that to be the 10th content, you would have a much better, chance of actually completing your entire training and everything that I want you to consume. So these are some of the things that we do. We do when we also do sentiment analysis, since we also have a social collaborative interface where employees and in general users can actually add their comments, ask questions, interact with each other. That's part of the learning experience in the way that we see that. And we also analyze sentiment from there. So we have a lot to work with. We actually, at one point, we actually built a success prediction mechanism for videos. So you would, add a video and I would be able to tell you if this video has a high success rate of actually people watching that or not. And this is based, I can tell you on a few things, but like, for example, we were measuring how many smiles people were smiling during the video. We would measure the speed in which you speak, and we could tell you that there's a certain speed that would make better engaging videos. We did some of these fixes automatically. We also do that today. So it's like, it's a science eventually. It's like, we feel like people are going to watch something because we have a gut feeling that it's interesting, but it's not a gut feeling. It's like, it's based on things that you can actually find, and it's based on patterns.
So, one of the things that also struck me about Bytes and some of the work that you've been working on is how AI-enabled algorithm is one thing, but you also have an AI-enabled studio to help people adapt the learning content that comes through, help it actually change, shift, and do so in a dynamic fashion. Tell me a little bit about that. What led to that, but then also how does it work in reality?
Psychologists define one of the biggest fears as the fear of change. And that's true for everyone. And when you come to a business and they're doing something in a certain way, and they know that it's not working for them. I mean, it's not a secret. It's not something that they have to understand. They understand that. But then you want them to change what they're doing. If you cannot assist them in, making this change, they're probably gonna, cave into their fears and just avoid that. So understanding that, we understood that, I mean, it's not enough that we come and say, hey, we have an amazing tool. You can create amazing content with that. Just start shooting videos like you do on TikTok and Instagram, and it's going to be amazing. And we will assist you with that. And it's going to be super engaging, and it's going to work. And it's going to benefit you and bring you amazing ROI. That is completely true. But like, if I cannot help you leverage the things that you already have and do the transformation for you almost automatically within, a matter of minutes, without you having to like break everything and starting from scratch, then we have a problem. So, an AI today enables us to build a tool just that takes a static, traditional, a legacy content like PDFs, like PowerPoints. They upload it to our platform. Then we do a process of a complete, very deep analysis of that. And based on that, we start, offering scripts for the videos. We allow them to actually select the topics that they want to cover. Then they do the script. The script is actually, it's a script like for a movie, for a short video. They read the script, they go through that, they approve that. Then we do many other processes in the background where we extract visuals if you have in the document. We take everything together and we actually build and create a video of that. And then we let you watch that video and meet that video and have the ability to edit and change and customize with our dedicated video editor. That's part of this, entire solution. But then, you start at one point with a PDF with some nice pictures and nice visualizations, and you end it with a live video. And it's not a video of, just like flipping through the pages of the PDF. It's a completely new thing. It concentrates on specific subjects. And then we also, we leverage our videos into a complete microlearning unit with the additional layers of auto translations and voiceovers and voiceover translations. And we add, the assessment, the engagement of the questions and key takeaways, and we wrap everything into our unique microlearning unit. And boom, you started with a piece of paper and you end up with a video. So that was something that we understood that we have to do that. And in the pace that AI is advancing today, it's like the sky's the limit to what we can do next with that.
I'm not surprised by that, and you seem to be hitting upon the golden rule that I think of whenever engaging with someone and you've got their attention, right? Which is keeping their attention and making sure that you're doing so through convenience and access, right? I think that's how you drive value. Obviously you're playing to my heart because I'm a psychologist, but I appreciate it when people actually understand the psychology of that consumer paradigm there. One of the things that it makes me think about too is frontline workers, right? I myself have come from two different industries. I came from the financial services industry, and I've come from the transportation and logistics industry. And we don't have frontline workers the same way that other industries do. But I've worked quite a bit with healthcare. I've worked with retail, and I've worked with a couple different service giants out there. And I think to myself specifically about how finding that time and that ability to train those frontline workers can be really difficult. And especially maintaining the relevancy of what you're teaching them can be really difficult. Talk to me about what advantages you're seeing with AI in helping frontline workers get training much more quickly, getting more relevant and current training much more quickly.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all the industries you mentioned are they have a very large audience of front-end employees. In general, many people don't know that, but like front-end employees are 80% of the global workforce. So wherever you look, you're very likely to meet front-end employees. I think AI is actually, it's shortening processes. It's just making things quicker. And it's not only making things happen quicker, it's making things happen in a way that allows you to actually, personalize, but like not just personalize for the person, but also personalize the content in terms of what is the content that they need to get. I mean, we are using AI to do the initial research. We're using AI to do the kind of psychological profile of the person we want to communicate with. Then we're using AI to build the content based on these two initial researches. So when we're doing that, the person who's receiving the content is more likely to actually benefit from that. I mean, the way we see that, and I think it's very specific, mostly specific with front-end employees, is that when you're delivering content to someone, it has to have a benefit for them, not for you. I mean, for you, of course, is a byproduct, but like first it has to benefit them. So if they're getting stuff that doesn't benefit them and they don't see any use to that, you can try to force them as much as you want to watch these contents, but it's not going to happen. Eventually, they're not going to spend time watching that. So the first thing you need to do, and again, profiling with AI really helps us, is to see what will benefit the end user, the receiver of the content. And this is where it kind of gets in.
So, I'm thinking specifically about some of that, and I'm thinking also about the challenge of, I worked for a Latin American airline as an example in my logistics and transportation days. It was the 7th largest airline in the world, what became LATAM. Now, before that, it was TAM and LAN. And I think a little bit about what it is that we experienced, which was having to operate in multilingual environments and operating specifically in what learning meant especially in different regions, different regulations, but also supporting or sticking to and being compliant with IATA requirements. And I think specifically about how helpful it would have been to have had AI in maintaining that multicultural and multilingual kind of content and making sure that it's relevant, current, and true to what we needed to ensure. How are you seeing that play a role with the different learning and development of your clients, and more importantly, the learning and development that you see across multiple nations, multiple societies? What are you seeing there?
Uh, I think it relates to what we were talking about before, because when I say shortening things, I mean, before, when things weren't short enough, they were just not done. Like, before AI, if I had now to recreate 10 different contents, each one in a different language, and have an expert for each one of these languages, and it's a huge leap. It's something that, because it's such a huge, nobody does that. And then, you would focus on 1, 2, 3 different languages. Now you just create the content in one language, and boom, you have it in 150 different languages, and it's super accurate. I mean, it's like, it's something that can actually be applied like instantly. And the employees, the ones who are receiving the contents, they can actually select what's their preferred language, and it's going to be right there ready for them. So, removing that friction of having to create content actually makes people create the content, which they would not have done before. And then it makes, different crowds in your workforce first of all feel more connected, because, the company respects them and respects their language and respects how they want and need to get the content. And it's a change. It's a huge difference.
So, it makes me think specifically, because now I'm going to ask even more generally, what are some innovations that you're seeing in the world of AI that are going to change what it is that you are, the way that people learn, that they develop, that they think about things?
I think it's got to be, it's an earthquake. It's not less than that. And it's not around the corner. We're already around the corner. I mean, I would just give you one example, which I can think of. How many, and some people are not going to like what I'm about to say, but like, how there are these companies who, you can buy a subscription and get like courses in how to operate the forklift, and how to safety instruction on how to climb a ladder and stuff like that. That's going to become irrelevant, because I can today, it's not like tomorrow. Today, I can actually write on some tools, some on Bytes or other tools. I can just write, okay, I have an employee, I have a company, we work in a warehouse, and I want to train them on, the best practices for safety when climbing a ladder. So first of all, I want to create and understand and create the framework for that. And after that, after, I gather all the necessary information, I want to create a complete training with the videos, with the, AI generated images and AI generated videos, so that I can send it to them. And that's it. Boom, I have it. It's going to be a matter of minutes. And now, if I have an employee who's working not in a warehouse, I mean, there's an assembly line of something. So I can just, change it, slightly change that and get dedicated training. And if I want to create something that's like with compliance with the specific compliance rules of, the state of California, I can just say, okay, first I want to understand the basic and specific compliance rules of the state of California, and I'm going to have 2 more clicks and a few more words, and I'm going to have a complete training. So, the off-the-shelf courses, they are becoming irrelevant, because, we discussed a lot, everything that has to do with personalization and customization. It's a prompt away, and you're going to get a much better result. You're going to get a much more engaging result. And, I think, I mean, to me, it's very, very clear. And, this is where we're actually heading. This is exactly what we're building. But like, you know, an L&D expert, all they have to do is just define what they want to teach, to whom they want to teach that. And if they have like specific, I don't know, attire of the workers in the company that they also want to include in that training, that's it. A few words, a few sentences, and in a matter of minutes, we have something that's perfect and can be sent. So, you know, all the off-the-shelf courses, they're kind of becoming irrelevant anymore.
So, it makes me think, are you seeing that this is actually making HR more efficient? Obviously, I'm always going to apply the lens of what does it do for HR operations, HR processes. In my mind, it should be making it more efficient, right? And more effective in delivering that tailored, personalized learning that's needed. Are you seeing that?
That's 100%. I mean, you know, if you look at what was happening before the AI revolution, which we're just starting to feel, HR departments would create contents. They would, first of all, they would pay tons of money for that because they would use, most of the time, they would use external professionals for that. It would take them months to create that. They will be super invested in that. And because of that, they're probably not going to update or change anything with that content for like, I don't know, 5 years. And that's good. When it has become so easy and so quick and so agile, and it's so effortless, people are creating more content. So contents are more relevant, they're more updated, they're more engaging, and you know, the information is being delivered in a way more effective way, with people not having to spend that much time in these super large and costly projects.
It's the other thing it makes me think of is there's obviously this sort of balance between trusting AI and not trusting AI, right? Workers and leaders all experience that sort of thing. I think this to me is an example or an entree into how organizations and people actually trust AI more, because it's about learning, it's about improving the knowledge of individuals, it's about doing that and doing it in a more effective and convenient way. Do you see that this also helps build the trust that people have in their HR departments, in their organizations, and even in AI in and of itself?
I might surprise you, but like, I think you shouldn't trust AI. I mean, you always have to monitor what AI is doing. So AI is there to help you. It's your super efficient assistant. It's like the best assistant you could ever ask for. It can do everything, but like, you shouldn't trust it completely. I mean, it should be, you know, moderated. It should be monitored. You should look at it. But like, if you compare the time that you have to spend in actually making sure that AI was doing a good job, or doing the entire job yourself, that's a huge difference. So I think AI is definitely improving tons of things, and we should trust AI to a point that we know that it's there to assist us and not to replace us. It's definitely there for us to use that and you know, get amazing results and do things that some of them we were not able to do before.
So I like to throw a curveball to my panelists or people who join me on these on the podcast. I'd love to hear from you what guidance you would give a CHRO when it comes to consuming AI and AI-enabled tools around workforce development. And more importantly, where do you see this being 5 years from now and 6 years from now or 10 years from now?
Wow, that's a tough curve.
I apologize.
I wouldn't dare, you know, guess where we're going to be like 5 or 6 years from now, because you know, the pace of the change that we're experiencing with AI it's something that's unprecedented. It's like it never happened. I think it's like we're living in very exciting times, but times that we can't really know what's going to happen. So it would be hard for me, but I would say like in the near future, I think that the first thing we need to understand, and I would, you know, if I would get the chance to speak to anyone, not just CHROs, I would say that we shouldn't fear AI. We shouldn't trust AI, but we need to understand that this could probably and is probably the best assistant and employee we can ever hope for, and just get the most of that, and not, you know, because of fear, just say, okay, so I'm completely ignoring that and not starting to implement that. do that, do it wisely, learn how to leverage that. And you're going to gain so much from that. It's an amazing, we're living in a revolution. It's like, you can imagine, how there's this like famous saying about Henry Ford, that he said that I was going to ask people if they want faster horses or a car, they would say faster horses. I think it's there, but it's not faster horses or a car. It's faster horses or a spaceship. This is the difference. So I would go for the spaceship. But again, you need to learn how to drive the spaceship. You need to learn how to trust it, where to be careful, and how to use that wisely.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you completely. I always think about what I tell my experience with AI, especially generative AI, started with my 17-year-old daughter and my 75-year-old mother asking me in the same week how they could leverage it. And I'm sitting there going, what do you mean? And the thing I learned right off the bat more than anything else is it is an accelerator beyond accelerator, right? It's that spaceship that you're describing. And the other thing is that spaceship, like any good spaceship, is going to change your perspective on things that you've accepted forever, right? Time, how well you perform, what it is that performance means, all these different things. And so I look at it as the vehicle to achieving a whole new concept of what it means to be effective and productive, right? And so that to me is where I think we land. But let's turn to skyrockets in flight, as my good friends used to say back in the 70s. Okay. That's going to do it for us this week, and I really appreciate your time with us here. A big thank you to Hagai for sharing his expertise and deep insights with us here. Before we say goodbye, I encourage you to follow the AI HI project wherever you enjoy your podcasts. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to comment, to leave a review, to like it, etc. Finally, you can go find all of our podcasts, all our episodes on our website, shrm.org/AIHI. Thanks for joining the conversation, and we'll catch you next time.
Hiring is evolving. Is your business? Explore the Demand for Skilled Talent report from Robert Half to see how AI is shaping the future of hiring. Visit roberthalf.com/demand for skilled talent.
SHRM.